we have our next speaker for the day, Mr. Rami Goldratt.
Sir, please.
Rami Goldratt, son of Eliyahu Goldratt, creator of the world-famous theory of constraints, serves as the CEO of Goldratt Consulting, and over the years has been involved in consulting engagements with retail, automotive, textile, chemical, and service industries all around the world. Considered one of the most influential leaders of the TOC body of knowledge, he is among the pioneers in developing and implementing TOC applications for education systems.
Good day, everybody. It's an honor to come here. Actually, it's the beginning of my journey around the world, so I'm coming here straight from Israel. And we know in Israel a little bit about constraints and how to manage them. Also, it's a very good example how constraints can drive innovation. So I assume some of you have heard about the theory of constraints, probably read the book The Goal, and maybe some have not heard about it, and I hope my presentation will trigger your curiosity to learn some more. Theory of constraints is the body of knowledge, the methodology created by my father, which we apply with many, many companies around the world. So today, I will not talk about all the aspects of the theory. Obviously, I have half an hour. I want to focus on one main aspect of the theory, which is to break inertia. What is inertia? Inertia is this force that drives us to continue and behave in the same manner even when there is a need to change. Are you facing inertia? You know, inertia is so strong that we continue to behave in the same manner even when we know there is a need to change. We have problems, we are aware of them, but nevertheless we say, okay, yeah, these problems will go away. Something will be different. I'll behave in the same way, but, you know, maybe tomorrow the problems will go away. We heard this wonderful speech by Sister Shivana. Yes, and she really taught us what we need to do differently, and we believe in it, but tomorrow when we go back, what did she stress so much? Are you really going to change? Because inertia is so strong. So I want to talk a little bit about inertia and give you some examples and case studies about what drives us to break inertia, and then derive some lessons that we should start maybe contemplate in the following days. By the way, we believe that breaking inertia is one of the prime responsibilities of a leader. Why? Because actually we expect most of the people in our organization to follow the book of rules, to obey the policies, because otherwise if everybody does whatever he wants, we'll never have scalability. So we want most of the people most of the time to follow the book of rules, but sometimes the book of rules should be changed. Sometimes, because reality is dynamic, we need to change some of the policies, yes? Who is the person that needs to say, hey, wait, stop. We understand the policies and they brought us a long way, but we need to do something different. That's the responsibility of the leader, right? Now, it's easy to understand when we are facing a crisis, when there is a tough problem, a tough challenge that we need to solve, and then we need to maybe break inertia. But this is the responsibility of the leader even when the organization is doing very well. Because maybe it's doing very well, but we can do much better. And maybe we're doing very well, but around the corner, there are big threats that, you know, we're going to face if we're not changing in time. Everybody with me? It's the leader's responsibility to break inertia. And I would like to show you here that in order to really break inertia, to really have innovation, not just an improvement, but a big improvement, a big jump in performance. To break inertia, you need to outperform your constraints. You should not take your constraints as given and ask, okay, I have a limitation, let's say in cash. What is the maximum I can do given my limitation? If you take your constraint as given and ask yourself what is the maximum you can do, you will not break inertia. Why? Because you're already doing it. You already, the policies, the practices in your organization already try to maximize performance given your constraints. If you want to have innovation, you need to challenge your constraints. And that's what I want to show you in this presentation. So a little bit about the theory of constraints. My father was once asked, by the way, I'm coming from Israel, as I mentioned. I'm Jewish. In the Jewish tradition, we're not allowed to call our parents by their names. So it's considered great disrespect. I don't know how it is in India. But in Jewish tradition, I cannot say my father's name. I only can call him father, or to my mother, I can call mother. So that's why I'm using the word father all the time instead of calling him by his name. So my father was once asked, what is TOC? Can you summarize it in one word? And he said, you know, TOC, theory of constraints, is all about focus. Is to know what to change, like Sister Shivana said. How did she start her speech? Look inside. What is the one thing? Not many, many, many things. The one thing you want to change. When you know this one thing, you also understand why to change. So focus is the essence, okay? Knowing what to change, and when we talk about focus, it's not only about what to do, but a lot about what not to do. Where not to waste your energy and your attention. My father said the ultimate constraint, the ultimate limitation is not cash, and it's not a machine, and it's not a special resource, and it's not government policies. The ultimate constraint is us. It's management attention. It's our ability to know where to focus and really to focus on this matter. And he captured it in this famous book, The Goal, where he actually started saying, you know, people are actually good. We don't like to live with problems. We like to fix problems. However, this tendency to try and improve everything that can improve sometimes works against us. If we take this simple process line, like we have 4 resources here feeding each other, the first one can do 3 parts per hour, the second one can do 5 parts per hour, then it feeds the third one that can do 2 parts per hour, ending with the resource that can do 3 parts per hour. If I would ask you what is the maximum parts this process line can do in 1 hour, everybody will say 2, right? Because it's easy to understand we have a bottleneck, we have a constraint that governs our performance. So easy to understand when it's on the slide, right? But if our tendency is to try and improve everywhere we can improve, are we going to focus all our attention on the third resource? No. We can also improve this resource. What will be the result if instead of 5 parts per hour, when we are now improving it even more and it can do 10 parts per hour, what will be the output? Only 2. What will be the result? Only 2, but with much higher working process, right? Everybody with me? There is a reason in reality why many times we focus not on the right things. If we want to improve everywhere we can improve, we'll improve what we can improve, not where it's difficult. There is a reason why the bottleneck is the bottleneck. It's difficult to improve it. Everybody with me? So TOC is all about understanding where is this constraint that is holding us back. Where is the limitation that we need to focus on to get the maximum of our goal, whatever is our goal. And along the years, practicing the theory, there were some robust solutions to find constraints and dealing with constraints in many aspects of the business environment. Constraints to deal with flow of execution if your bottlenecks are in the operations, constraints to do with sales management, how to deal with constraints in value creation, in coming up with the next breakthrough products. But I'm not going to talk about all these different solutions. We don't have the time for it. I want to go back to the subject matter of inertia, this principle that guides the theory. And I would use 3 case studies to illustrate it. I took case studies of companies that we work with, so we know the changes they have done, breaking the inertia, was not luck. It was a result of carefully planned action, and that of course, they had to do because of some crisis, but it was a result of a careful planned strategy to really do something different. And I deliberately took case studies that have happened not recently, but 10 years ago, so we can also evaluate the sustainability of the solution. And I can also talk more freely about them because I'm less bound by confidentiality. So let's take the first case study. It's a company you all know. It's based here in Bangalore. The company is called Titan Jewelry, okay, with their famous brand, Tanishq. By the year 2009, they have achieved already quite an impressive growth rate, 2,764 crores, revenue sold through 174 stores, very impressive, especially considering 2008, 2009 was not a good year for economics. Nevertheless, they have achieved these results. So looking at these results, they said, oh, we have a good brand. There is still a lot of room to grow in India. We should capitalize on this opportunity. Let's achieve much more. And they set up an objective, which they committed to the board, to reach 10,000 crore in revenue in 5 years. Now, how this is done? By opening more stores, by servicing more market segments, going to bridal jewelry, going to fashion jewelry, going to new regions in India, basically expanding their business. Now, this is very nice to set such an ambitious objective and to go about it. But there was one challenge, a challenge they realized after committing to the board, to their shareholders. And the challenge was they understood that if they will follow their plan, opening so many stores, going to so many different segments, they're going to face a big challenge, a big risk, a risk that can actually risk the existence of the company. And it has to do with the nature of their business. You see, we talk about jewelry. Jewelry is not a fast-moving consumer good business. It's actually a very slow-turn industry. If you're able to sell a piece that came to the store within 3 months, one piece within 3 months, it's considered a fast mover. Okay? It's jewelry. When you talk about slow-turn industry and you're opening now more stores and go with new collections, new brands to new segments, what will happen to inventories? It takes time until you start selling the inventories you have, to rotate the inventories. Everybody with me? This means that inventory turns will go down. Everybody with me? Your investments, your working capital will increase. If you have such an aggressive plan, opening many more stores in a certain time frame, your inventory turns will take a nosedive. Everybody with me? And that's in a very slow turn industry. They realized that the rapid expansion will reduce inventory turns to below 2 turns. They were about 3.5 turns to below 2 turns. If they will achieve 10,000 crore, this can mean being with inventory of more than 5,000 crore. That's not so healthy. Everybody? Huge risk to the business. But now they face a crisis because the commitment was already given. Everybody with me? What to do? Let's understand a little bit more about their business. Some fast movers are not available in stores 15 to 20 weeks on average. It sounds very strange for you. How come if you have a product that you're selling fast, why it's not in the store? It sounds so surprising, but in jewelry business, this is actually the norm. Why? Because they don't have stock in the warehouse. It's too expensive. If a store sells an item, they produce and wants to order the same item, it needs to be produced. You know how many SKUs they have in their universe? 100,000. 100,000 SKUs options they have in their catalog, if you wish, for a store to order from. If I sold an item, let's say within 3 months, I'm a store, and I want the same item, I will place an order for it, it'll go to the plant, and it will get the same priority like any other item. Everybody with me? This means that it can take a month and a half to arrive to the store. Now, if I got it and I sold this necklace within 3 months, I need to think a lot if I would order the same necklace. Who said it's a fast mover? Even though I sold it fast, I don't know if they sell the next item so fast. Maybe I should order a new product instead that I never had. Makes sense, no? So many times fast movers are not being replenished at all. Which brings us to the fact that much of the product universe do not develop significant sales levels. We don't replenish it, even when it can be a fast mover. 90% of the product responsible for 35% of sales. This means 10%. You understand the magnitude here. There is a big tail. Tail are the slow movers. There is a big tail that we are dragging behind us. 30% of the inventory is more than 6 months old. 20% of the inventory is more than 12 months old. That's the nature of the beast, if you wish. Now they face a big conflict. We want to have successful growth. This means we need aggressive expansion. We want to seize the opportunities. We need to meet what we committed. This means we need to work with high inventories, much higher than what we used to. But on the other hand, for successful growth, we need to reduce risk. We need to ensure stability. This means we limit the inventories. But we cannot limit the inventories with the way we operate today and follow the plan. Everybody with me? What do we do? Now, that's an important lesson here. When you're facing a challenge that forces you to break your constraints, there must be a conflict. Now, we live with conflicts all the time as managers. We always have conflicts. In normal situations, we try to optimize the conflict. We say, okay, we have this conflict. What is the best inventory levels I can live with that will give me some growth and will not take too many risks? This is a compromise, an optimization, and that's what we normally do as managers when we are facing with conflicts. But when we have a crisis, like in this case, I already committed, I can no longer take my constraint as given. I have to ask myself, can I change something in my practices? Can I behave very different and solve the conflict? Solving the conflict in TOC means that you need to look at the two important needs that drive the behavior, aggressive expansion and reducing risk, and ask yourself, how can I change my practices in a way that I fully satisfy these needs? For example, how can I still meet the plan and nevertheless able to limit my inventories, not to take too much risk? Can I make some changes? Yes, it means to change very different. That's the meaning of breaking inertia. Nobody said it's easy. What did they do? And again, we're not going to go to the technicalities of all the solutions. My main point is, if you want to have true innovation to break inertia, you need to solve the conflicts by finding how you should behave very different. This paragraph is taken from the annual report to the shareholders, from their financial statement. I did not change even one word in it in the year 2010. What did they write there? There are many initiatives in the pipeline to make our stocks work for us much better. Key among them being, 1, populating all stores with many more bestsellers than at present. Establish a made-to-replenish pipeline to deal with sellout on a daily basis. So they're saying, let's set a criteria for what it means bestseller. Whatever was the criteria, I don't want to go into it. Now we don't let the store freedom not to have it. All relevant stores should have this product. I want to increase as much as possible the share of fast movers of my portfolio. And if I have a superstar means the product that is really selling good, I will keep stock in my warehouse for this inventory, for this product. So the moment it's selling, I will replenish. And if it's a fast mover but not a superstar, it will go to production, but it will get the highest priority. I want to replenish it no more than a week, not a month and a half. Everybody with me? More than that, if a store is selling a product and it's not yet considered fast mover, but it shows, according to other criteria, potential to be a fast mover, I will not let the store 100,000 options to choose from to order instead of this one. I will give them only 10 options. Okay, you sold this. It's not yet the superstar, so it's not on replenishment. But you have 10 options to order instead, and that's based on my global view, servicing many stores, knowing what is likely to be a bestseller if I only give it a chance, if I only populate it in more stores. Everybody with me? Number two, dealing with slow moving, the tail of the inventory in a more systematic way. When we have done the analysis, we found something very interesting. We found that because they have such a large universe, many of slow-moving items that are in one store will actually be bestsellers in another store. We saw that 30% of the tail product in one store could be bestseller in another store. Only 15% of the tail product are absolute tail. No matter where you put them, they will not sell. This means that we should take most of the tail products in one store and start to rotate them across the stores. Why do I want them to be in the bottom drawer of a store for more than a year? Remember, 20% of the inventory is more than a year old. Why do I want it to be there if I can sell it in another store? Let's start to rotate tail products around the stores and give them a chance to become bestsellers and to be sold. Introducing new products in a more systematic way. Every year, do you know how many new options they used to introduce? 10,000. 10,000 options. Do we need 10,000 new options to have freshness in the store? No, we don't. We can go with much, much less. Not because we want to save on designers, etc. It's nothing to do with saving cost. It's all about making sure I give more opportunity for products to become bestsellers, to be populated in more stores. Everybody with me? It's all about flow. This is a dramatic change to the way they used to operate. Let's say if it was successful. I would say it was quite successful. By the way, what you see here is their growth rate. If they would have not changed and would have kept this size of inventory that they used to hold, they would have not survived. With the government changes in regulations, with the fluctuation of gold, they are able to achieve this growth rate. What you see here are the inventory turns, which never went below 2.5. Today, with 16,000 crore in sales, and return on capital employed of 67%, they set another target. Titan sets revenue target of 50,000 crores by the year 23. Let's see. Everybody with me? The point is, you have a crisis, you have a conflict, don't optimize. Break inertia. Let's see another case study, now from a very different industry. This time, it's from automotive. I don't know how strong it is in India, but the very known company is called Mazda. I don't know if it's present in India. It's selling about $23 billion in revenue, selling around 1.5 million cars a year. Now, Mazda, in the year 2012, were already after 4 consecutive years in the red, making losses. Now, in addition to this problem, they had tied fuel efficiency requirement to be dealt with. They had a big gap in terms of fuel efficiency because Mazda was all around, they called it the zoom spirit, making cars that are more sporty-like, with great experience. And this is not exactly having a fuel efficiency. They were also not present in the hybrid electric vehicle market, and this was taking more and more presence, especially with the vehicle tax reduction that was offered for hybrid vehicles. They had nothing there. Ford had a joint venture with them, and they pulled out because of these losses. So now they had credibility issues. And on top of these, in 2012, they had a big earthquake in Japan and hyper yen appreciation. that only intensified this situation. So I would say they had quite a bit of a crisis to deal with. Facing this crisis, they had to solve a conflict. You see, Mazda and its suppliers are producing in Hiroshima. It's the only Japanese car manufacturer that produces everything in Japan. They are responsible for this community. And to close all the gaps we discussed, this requires a lot of expenses and investments. They also knew another thing. In 2013, if performance is still in the red, it's the end. No, the company will not survive. Now, they had to think differently about this conflict. They want healthy business. This means they want to increase sales in the future to continue and grow. Obviously, like any business need to think. This means they need to invest in the development to close the gaps. On the other hand, they have to protect cash and profit. They have to ensure stability. This means to focus on cost reduction. I'm sure some of you as managers face such conflicts in your company. Now, in normal times, you can still optimize. You can still say, okay, where can I save? What development I have to do now? What developments I can postpone to the future? This is the nature of what we do as managers. But when you're facing a crisis, you cannot do that anymore. Because the cost reduction you need to do, or the developments you need to do, if you don't do this, you're out. Everybody with me? You cannot optimize. You cannot take your constraint as given. You have to think, can I do something very different and increase my sales in the future and at the same time protect my cash and profit? Is there something else I can do? Because if I don't find a way to do different, to break inertia, it's the end. What did they do? Again, I'm not going to go into the technicality of the solutions, just to understand the essence here. Mazda decided to focus all development on a new engine. It's called SkyActiv. This engine enables low fuel consumption as good as hybrid engine by internal combustion engine. So they didn't have to change all the chassis, all the structure of their vehicles just to change the engine. New engine, new innovation. It was not luck. It was carefully planned. But the real essence here, they said, I'm not going to develop to close the gaps everywhere. I'm going to focus on this engine, only on this engine. It's, by the way, it sounds like taking a risk, but if staying the way you are, it's the biggest risk you can take in their case. Everybody with me? We're going to do this engine. We know it's going to work. We know it's going to, not only that it's going to have fuel consumption, there will be no compromise in driving pleasure. The zoom spirit will still remain. Same performance, much less fuel consumption on internal combustion. And the technology will be affordable to customers, because if the customer needs to pay more, I'm not going to sell more. Now, because we focus all of our energy on this one thing, we can do the development much faster. Okay, we also work with them on some changing the way they do the R&D, but we're not going to go into this. They were able to develop this engine. By the way, the world record to develop a new engine was 2 years. They developed it in 1 year. 1 year. Amazing. It sounds like a miracle. No miracle. If you focus all your attention on one thing, the speed is very different. Let's see. And what happened? So I just took 2 examples here with the new cars, CX-5, most sold car in Japan in 2012. Within the first year, most sold car. Mazda 3 was sold the most in Australia as the independent vehicles. I just took 2. The main thing to see is how in 1 year they went from the red to the black. 1 year. And remained there. You see it start to go down. They need to work on the next breakthrough, by the way. Everybody with me? Again, the message is, you have a conflict. In normal times, we can think about, let's just survive it. Let's optimize the best we can. But when we're facing a crisis, we need to think, how do we behave differently? The next case study, and I'll go very fast because I'm out of time. The next case study I took from a very different environment, from education. A high school in Israel. This high school is called Ulpanat Reut. And this high school serves a very low socioeconomic society, also a lot of immigrants that don't even speak the language, Hebrew. And all the high schools in Israel are measured on one prime measurement, which is how many students are entitled to a high school diploma. In order to get a high school diploma, you need to pass the matriculation exam. These are exams that you take in several subjects. You need to get a score high enough to pass the exam and get the diploma. They had a perfect record. The last 10 years, not even a single student was entitled to a diploma, 0%. Such a lousy performance, the district said, okay, we had enough of it. Yes, we heard all the excuses about the population of students, etc. We had enough of it. It's given a bad reputation to the district. Let's close the school. They gave them 3 years because high school is 3 years. They said I'll use the word, flush the students you have out of the system, finish with them, and you're out. We're closing the school. Everybody with me? Tough problem, tough conflict to address. No option to get better students. Nobody wants to go there. Replacing teachers is not likely to help. It's not the teacher's fault. No time to change how you teach. I don't have the time now to think maybe we can teach math in a different manner. Maybe we can teach English in a different... We don't have the time for this. We're facing a tough conflict. What is the conflict? And that's a conflict, by the way, of every education system. We want to give a good education. It means we need to enable every student to fulfill its potential. Agree? This means that I need to gear my teaching level to the individual level that fits this student. Not all students are born equal. Some need better help in math, some in English. I need to gear it to his level and help him fulfill the potential. But if I do that, I don't have enough resources. I don't have a teacher for every student. I have a class with 40 students in my class. If I want to promote as many students as possible, I need to look for the common denominator. I will teach on the average level. But if I teach on the average level, I'm going to lose the best ones, and I'm going to lose the lower bottom. Everybody with me? I need to think, how do I do it very, very different? Today, we plan the whole year up front for the entire class. Everybody will get 40 hours in English, 40 hours in math, 50 hours in history, whatever is the curriculum. And some will pass, some will not. In their case, nobody passed. I need to think of a different way. What did they do? I'm not going to go too much into the technicalities here because I'm out of time. So just for you to understand, it's very, very different from the way it's being taught before. Let's understand that it's all about flow. I have 3 groups. The students that only need to pass 2 more exams and they get a diploma. That's the one group. The group in the middle, the one that needs 3 to 5 exams and they get a diploma. And I have the last group that need to pass more than 5 exams to finish the diploma. My objective now is just to move students from one bucket to the other. The one that need only 1 or 2 exams, let's make sure they pass it. I want to gear all my teacher resources there to pass. The one that needs 3 to 5, I'll give them what they need to go from 3 to 5 to 1 to 2. Because even if they finish high school, only need 1 to 2 exams, they can do the exam later. Okay, you don't finish your life age 18. Do the exam later, pass these 2 exams, you get a diploma. Today, if I give everybody are left with 3 to 5 or even more exams that they need to do. And then you lost your confidence, discouraged, you're not going to do it. Next one, limit the number of subjects taught every year. I'll skip it, I don't have the time. The next one is really a revolution. If I will plan the curriculum up front, how many hours every student will get in every subject up front, it's as if I have a crystal ball. It's as if I'm saying, I know exactly a year in advance how many hours you need in every subject. It's obviously rubbish. You don't know how many hours every student needs in every subject. In Israel, you can pass the exam in the winter and you have a summer exam. We said we'll plan to pass the exam in certain subject in the winter. Everybody goes to pass the exam in the winter. Some will fail, some will succeed. Some will fail in English, some will succeed in math but fail in English. What do? I now have half a year that I have not assigned yet. I will give the ones that need to pass the math, I'll give them math. The ones that need to pass English, I'll give them English to pass the exam that they failed. Everybody with me? It's all about now just reallocating the teaching hours to the students. Results. After 2 years, 13% entitlement. After 3 years, 70% entitlement. My friends, the average in the country is 50%. Same students, same teachers. Actually, this is now going on for more than 10 years. After 5 years, the families in these communities saw it's the best school to send theirs. You're blocking me because I need to finish? I'll be very quick. You need to choking the mic. Okay, I have to send this, families send more students. The student population doubled, and they achieved it. Lessons learned, and by that I finish, I promise, the presentation. Lessons learned. First, to achieve a breakthrough innovation, we must challenge our constraints. I said it over and over. Don't ask yourself what is the maximum I can do to given my limitation. Ask, how can I achieve objective that today seems impossible given my limitation? That's the only way to think of innovation. The next lesson is even more important. Why to wait for a crisis? The common thing for all the cases I told you is that they had a crisis that forced them to think how to solve the conflict and not to optimize. Why to wait? Solve the conflict. Last 3 things and I finish. If you don't want to wait for a crisis, how to go about it? Tomorrow morning, set a high objective which seems impossible to achieve given your current constraint. Not because you want to push the people to do more. It's not about creating anxiety and to be aggressive, nothing with that. It's only for you to really think, okay, if I want to really think how to change your behavior, what practices you need to change in order to break inertia, not to take the constraint as given. Everybody with me? Identify the conflict you must break with innovation to achieve the objective. I showed you some example, and take it as your responsibility as a leader to break inertia. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Goldratt. It was an inquisitive session. Now I request Mr. Steve to come onto the stage for felicitation.